Boom. Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's call. Let me know where you're calling in from. Let me know how it's going. We're going to have a lot of fun today. We're going to interrupt that spiral, those tactical tools for grounding and flashback recovery. Now, in the last episode, we went over the PDF, we went over a workbook that you could do. And what I want you to do is we're going to go over that. We're going to go over kind of different things that we felt, different things that we could have understand. And then we're going to begin to build into who we want to be, because we all have these spirals that come into our life. We always have these different situations. And until we really understand how to stop them, it's going to be a fight. So this is where we want to really begin to interrupt. As always, content warning, webinar includes discussions around trauma, PTSD, and challenges, which we commonly experience. So if you're having any difficulty today, please step back, please step out, do some tactical breathing, come back or watch the recording, whatever it is. Remember, number one is you. You need to make sure that you are ready and aware of whatever happens and how you are feeling. So take care of yourself first. So the reset starts here, right? We already faced a storm in part one, and today we're building on that job. We're using the toolkit, we're using the workbook that we got. So let's create that plan and actually use under pressure, because as first responders, we face these pressure times. And until we really get the moments, we really get to understanding, pressure really built up. So we got to learn to release that. So today, I took this clip from the previous one. This is what we're going over. We're going over this workbook. If you don't have it yet, take a picture. We're going to be starting on page 13 in the workbook. That's where we'll focus on. There was some pre-work that you could have done for yourself, but today we're going to really focus on building that plan and really structuring how your life's going to go in the direction that we want it to go in. So that's what today is all about. But let's do a quick review about what intrusive thoughts are, right? Intrusive thoughts and flashbacks. So intrusive thoughts are, and I got my slide really far away from me. So let's do this real quick. I'm just going to open this up. So here we go. Intrusive thoughts are unwanted, involuntary, and often disturbing. How many of us have those thoughts? How many of us have those thoughts that are really unwarranted? They're disturbing. They just come, and we're like, where did this thought come from? And then second, flashbacks are vivid body or memory relivings, not just memories, right? We have these flashbacks, and they make us relive that situation that we've gone through. And these are, my friends, these are traumatic responses. They're not normal, right? They're not normal responses to everyday stresses. This means, okay, we need to step up. There's a different level that we need to get at, and we need to understand, and which is why this is so important, right? It's not a personality flaw. Sometimes we're like, man, we're weak. We don't understand. This is just who I am. No, it's not. It's what you're going through. It's a journey that you're on. It's part of that story. And until you begin to work through that story and understand this chapter, you're going to be stuck. So that's why we work on these things. And that's why every day we focus on building that new chapter. So we're going to go over, again, I think this is page 13. So we're going to really talk about my go-to grounding tool. So we understood kind of what we felt, why we felt the way we did. And now we're going to work on those different tools that we're going to do. So what was your go-to grounding tool? What these grounding tools do. So you want to identify the one tool or strategy that brings you back to the present moment. That's what a grounding tool does. Simple things that I put in here, right? It could be a tactile item, right? So if you have like a challenge coin, or you have a pen, or you have something that you carry around with you that is going to kind of bring you back. Because oftentimes when our nervous system goes off and it goes into that fight, flight, or freeze response, you need a tool to bring you back. And that's what a tactile tool can be. Maybe a sensory exercise, breathing techniques. What is it for you? We needed to find out where you wanted to go and different things that you could use, right? The an anchor, right? An anchor that stabilizes your nervous system when things go in that spiral. And that's what these different things could be. So what was that for you? What did you find within you? Because you always want to carry something with you just in case, right? Be prepared for that attack. Be prepared for that situation to come into play. And then you can have that recallable plan for in those high stress moments. I know that sometimes I've been at work and situations have kind of flew off, and it's like, oh crap. And my mind starts triggering and things just start changing. And I'm like, okay, I need to bring myself back into this present moment. So what can I do? So I create my breathing techniques. That's one of my grounding tools that I use, is that the breathing techniques where you breathe in for 4, you hold for 4, exhale for 6, and then you hold for 4. And then you do that 4 times. And doing that cycle brings your nervous system down, brings your heart rate down, and you're able to kind of process onto that next thing. So this is the tactical grounding tools that we're going to be teaching. So again, box breathing, number 1 tool. I find that this is one of the biggest tools to help people. So you don't have a choice on this one. I put this into here because I believe that this is going to help. I have it as a 4-4-4 method because it's super easy to memorize. Just to have the 4, right? Box breathing. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, do it 4 times. Super easy to remember, and that's where you can understand. Here's a couple other grounding tools: the 5-4-3-2-1 senses reset. And what this is basically takes your energy and your emotions, your vision off of what you're focusing on and focuses on other things. So you start with 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can smell. And there's options here. You can either do 1 thing you can taste, which is sometimes very hard to do, or what I say is you take 1 big deep breath in. Again, another grounding tool is your anchoring object. What is that? And we're going to go over this, and this is kind of what we're doing today, is we're going to set this up for you. We're going to set up what your phase is going to be. We're going to find those 3 objects that you can actually have in your life. And then the person I trust. We all have to have those people in our lives when things go to that place. I remember I heard one story of a police officer that I knew, and he was literally ready to take his life. He had his service pistol in his hand. He was done. He's like, I can't do this. He had that one person he could trust, and he called the person and was like, I'm done. I can't do this. And basically the person said, you take every round ammunition that you have and throw them in your backyard. I'm on my way. And he's still alive today, still working through things. But he had that person that he could trust, that person that he could rely on. And if we have that person, it really makes your journey a lot easier and a little bit more flow. And that's what we're going for, my friends. So movement-based de-escalation. So what's worked for you? So certain things that we have to constantly keep trying. We want to build things in our lives. And I always, my wife can attest to this, I always kind of innovate and reset and rewire, and I make things work. And if something doesn't work, I try something else. And if something doesn't work, I try something else. And this is where you want to use this inventory. So you look back kind of in your life, maybe box breathing doesn't work for you, and that's fine. Maybe the 5-4-3-2-1 method is more of something that works for you. And you have to find, you try box breathing, get to a situation, you do some tactical breathing, you're like, oh, that doesn't do anything for me. But if I sit in my car or I sit in wherever I am and I look around and I see 5 things, then I can really bring myself back to the present moment. Maybe splashing cold water on your face is what it is for you. So what's worked for you? What did you try that didn't work? You always want to have different things in your life and go, okay, look, that didn't work for me. Maybe I'll try this. And then what feels awkward to use on shift, right? There are certain things that as first responders, we might want to do something, and it's like, I can't do that. That feels super awkward to do. Like an example would be, I know that a great technique is to do a meditation, right? You close your eyes, you sit back, you meditate, right? If you're at work, you can't really sit back, close your eyes for a good 10, 15 minutes. It's probably not practical to do. But if you find something that works for you, that you can do on shift, off shift, because what we're doing, my friends, is we're trying to reset our mindset. And if you're doing something constantly, you're going to build that habit. And when you build that habit, it's going to be quick. The best example I can say is, as first responders, we had to do training. So we go through our training. And I know, like with me, if I get into a use of force or I get into a situation, my training kicks in and I can respond very quickly to what? Because I've repeatedly done it over and over and over again. If that person does this, I react this way. And that's how you want to build your mental health toolbox, right? You want to have it where, well, you know what? If my heart rate starts to race and I begin to have like a semi-panic attack or an anxiety attack, or I just feel overwhelmed, it's like, I know that when I do my box breathing for 1 minute, I know I can lower my heart rate and I can get back into doing what I want to do because I've trained my mind to it, and it becomes habitual. Just to, you know what? Okay, breathe in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4. Do this 4 times. Okay, and then you kind of move forward. And that's what we want to do, my friends. We want to have that habitual within our lives. So the flashback reset blueprint, right? As flashbacks happen within our lives, these are, again, not in our control. And you want to spot the early warning signs. You want to be prepared for if they are going to come into your life. You want to use those grounding tools to bring you back into the present moment, because flashbacks, triggers, things like this are from your past. So you want to bring them back, bring your mindset back into now. And when your mindset's in the now, you can go, okay, look, this flashback that I've had, this thought that I'm having about something that happened to me isn't true, right? It's not actually happening in my life. So you have to reset it. You take the post-reset action, right? Hydrate, pray, test, move, right? And those are different actions that you can take to move into that next phase. All right. So like I said, today, our biggest thing is, oh my goodness. There we go. Biggest thing today is we're going to build that toolkit, but you don't need to be perfect to heal. We often think we have to get to a certain place, right? You just need one breath, one anchor, and one choice to interrupt that spiral. And once you figure out what that is, you don't need to be perfect, right? We all think you have to be at a certain place. So today is all about building your reset cue cards. So tool number 1, like I said, is the box breathing. I find that this is the most beneficial. This is the one thing that most people can use. We all have a minute within our day, and doing 4 rounds of breathing takes about a minute. And again, it lowers your heart rate. So that one's one of the biggest ones that I suggest to keep that in there. Obviously, if you want to change it, change it. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. Now we want to move on to the phrase. So we all want a phrase in our life that we can come back to and say, okay, look, I use the first one a lot, is basically my go-to, right? Any situation that I feel like I'm not in the right place, or I'm stressed about something, I can say this out loud to myself, and it really resets my mind. After I've done part 1 and I've done my breathing, I go, look, I'm safe. I'm here. I'm safe. This is not then. And that's when triggers or flashbacks come into your mind. I'm here. I'm safe. This is not then. And that's a phrase that I use. Other suggestions that I put on here is you can go, breathe. Adam, breathe. You've made it through worse. Adam, breathe. You've made it through worse. And saying this and telling yourself this is going to, again, lower your heart rate. It's going to bring you back into that safe zone, which is where we are. A third one, that call that I was just at doesn't define me. My response does. How did I respond to it? Did I respond the way I wanted to? No? Okay, well, let's make an adjustment and respond differently. But talking to yourself and having these phrases are going to, again, make you and allow you to push forward past that spiral that's happening, because that's what this is all about. We go down that spiral. So we want to stop it. Or number 4 is I reset, I don't retreat. Right? As first responders, we don't retreat. We always run into that chaos. We always run in when people are running out. Firefighters, policemen, correctional officers. Paramedics, we always respond to that situation. So if you have these things and you can reset and have a phrase that's going to work for you, then you're going to have this. So again, write down your phrase in this little section of your book, whichever one it is for you, or make one up on your own, right? find it because it's going to help you in that moment. And that, again, that's why we're building these, because we're building in that moment. Again, pick a small item. This is number 3. So we've gone through the tactical breathing, gone through the phrase, and now we're going to go into an anchoring object. You want something that you can physically touch. And I meant to actually grab one of my challenge coins. I love challenge coins. I'm a collector of them. Again, don't have one on me. But you want to have something that you can physically touch, close your eyes, feel it, and which also brings you back to the present moment. You know, I have my watch. I can feel my watch and go, okay, look, I'm here. I feel the rivets. I feel whatever it is on my watch, right? But pick one small item that you can carry or touch during a call, right? I've had things that I've been in a situation and my mind goes, oh my gosh. And then it brings back a flashback of a different situation that was similar, but not the same one. And it starts to bring anxiety and starts to bring heart rate. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to handle that exactly how I handled that last one. And that's not true. I'm like, okay, look, I got my watch here. I'm okay. I'm in this moment. I can feel this. I can feel the rivets. I'm here. Let's deal with this situation. So you want to pick 1 to 3 small objects that you can use for grounding. Again, these are examples that I used. A badge. We all carry badges. A wristband or a watch or a challenge coin. Just something small, basically the same size as a little, in Canada, we have toonie. So a little toonie. In the States, maybe just bigger than a quarter, right? There's something small that you can have in your pocket so that when something happens, you can bring yourself back to the present moment. Fourth one, correction. And this is I find that this is the most important one, because once you've gone through the 4 stages, right, you've tried the box breathing, it's not working. And that's what this is all about. These are kind of levels that you want to go through to get yourself back into the present, to lower your heart rate, to lower your nervous system, and just bring you back into the now, because that's what we're stopping the spiral. This is your 4th stage. This is the 4th one, and you want to have at least, my friends, 2 people that you can trust, right? And when I say trust, you want someone that's going to not ridicule you, not say you're weak for having these feelings, not put you off, right? Someone that you can call and be like, look, I'm going through something really bad right now and I need to talk any time of day, right? We have those people, family, coworkers, that we can be like, look, can we step away? I've had people at work, when I've been at work, people have been, because they know I'm a trusted person they can talk to, and they pull me away and be like, Adam, can we just go for a walk and talk? Absolutely, let's go, right? And people around us don't need to know what's going on. We just, yeah, let's go. Or it's like, you go and I'll meet you there, right? Whatever you have to do to keep your sanity, right? Because you don't want to add to the fire. Oh man, they're going to talk. What are they talking about? But you want to have these people that you can trust. And I always say, write them down, put their number there, or put them in your phone, have them as like number 1 and number 2, so that you don't have to think. You've tried the box breathing, it's not working. You've tried your phrase and your heart rate's still going up. You've tried your challenge corner, whatever it is, your anchoring object, and it's not working. Time to call someone that you trust and say, okay, look, I need to speak. I need to get things off my chest. What do you feel? You know, even if they don't tell you anything, they just listen. Those are the best people to trust. So write down 2 people, at least 2 people that you can have and call on at any point. Okay, so in part 1, I offered this, and I'm going to just minimize this just in case anybody on here has any questions. No sound, no kick it. So I had this where I offered for those who already asked some questions to come and speak up. I did get a couple emails, which I'm super happy about. So I'm going to go over what people had asked me to do, and then we'll get back into this. I'm going to see if I can remove this, and we're going to put, oh, that didn't do anything. We're going to put me front and center. All right, here we go. Let me read these. Okay, so one person asked, what do I do when I feel a flashback coming on, but I'm on duty and can't step away? So again, one of the biggest things for doing that is to use your anchoring objects. You want to make sure that you have these objects available so that because flashbacks, intrusive thoughts, these can come in at any moment. And when you have these thoughts come in, you want to have your tool available, right? I know there's some situations that I haven't had mine, and I've had a flashback or a thought come in, and I've been like, okay, like where did I put that anchoring object that I know I need? So make sure that you have your anchoring object with you, or you might be forced to try something that you're like, the box breathing doesn't work. The 5 objects don't work. I'm out on the field. I can't splash water in my face to reset. So you want to make sure that you have the tools available so that when these intrusive thoughts or flashbacks come in, you can be ready for that. The second question I had was, how do I explain what's happening to me without sounding weak or broken to my team? Oh, that's a big one, right? We all have situations in our lives, and we want to stand. As first responders, we feel that when we run into a situation, that we want those strong people running in behind us, right? Oh man, that Adam's going through some stuff right now. I don't want him to back up, right? Because he's weak, right? That's not actually true, right? People don't think that. When I go into a situation, regardless if I've been diagnosed with PTSD, regardless if I've had flashbacks and intrusive thought, people know what I'm going to do. People know how I'm going to respond to the situation, and you want to really use appropriate language for yourself, right? You're not weak. You might be stuck in a situation, but talking to someone, taking action, going towards what you're going towards, building that, understanding that what you're going through, intrusive thoughts, flashbacks, these are normal responses to abnormal situations. And that's when you have to use those phrases. I can understand, right? I'm working through this. My body's just stuck in go mode, right? Telling yourself these different things are going to allow you to go, look, this is a normal response, right? I'm not weak. I'm not broken. I'm going through something, right? And when you can tell yourself that and have the courage to come out and say, look, you can think or whatever. I know how I'm going to react on a call. I know how I'm going to push through. I know how. You don't have control, right? That's the biggest answer, my friends, is you don't have control over what people are going to say or think about you, right? You have control over your responses. You know how you're going to respond in a situation. I'm giving you the tools to deal with situations, to deal with different response options so that when you're in the situation, you can push through and you can make it, right? So try that, see if that works. And doing this, right? I wrote here from my notes, doing this is going to help remove the stigma. If people see that I'm going through something, right? I'm dealing with mental health issues. I'm going through something, but I still respond. I still can come. I got your back. I got your 6. They're going to go, okay, well, I'm going through stuff and I haven't talked about it. But I see Adam talks about going through stuff and he's still an amazing officer and he still responds when I need. Well, I could probably talk about it because I know I'm going to be able to go too. And it begins to remove that stigma around mental health as being this horrible thing, which it's not, right? It's a response that we're doing. So yeah, work through that. And if you have any questions, obviously my email is always available. Reach out. These questions, I only put this on here because I wanted to give opportunity. My email is always open if you ever have any other questions. Third question I got, the final question, was why do I feel worse when I try to relax or calm down after a high stress incident? Our friends, our nervous system is stuck in a survival mode. And sometimes you have to go through that storm to make it to the other side. And it can be an example I love giving is the deer, right? Whenever a deer is set in motion, it runs for about 90 seconds and then it'll look up. And if nothing's still going, it just stops and grazes again. But as humans, we don't shut that off. We get on that treadmill and we're like in that fight flight response and we run and we fight it for about 90 seconds. And then we look and our mind goes, no, we're still going. And then you're like, oh, okay, but the situation's over. So if you begin to use these grounding techniques right? You go for a walk, you do stretch, you do the shake out tension, right? Doing these different techniques are going to remove that stress. I know someone at work that very fit person, he goes to the gym almost every shift, after every shift, because that's the way he releases his tension. So you have to have a habit or something that you do to release that tension so that when situation come into your life, you can just go, okay, I'm done. I'm going to push through. So those were kind of the questions I got. Thank you all for shipping those in. We're going to bring up our slides again. Where are we going here? We're going with this one. There we go. So yeah, so thank you again for bringing it. And you know what? Maybe I'll pause right now. If anyone's on here that wants to ask a question they didn't get to ask, put it in, and we'll answer that. But unless there's no more questions, we're going to move on to the next one. So what happens after this? So your job now, my friend, is to keep using these reset cue cards. Cut that little area out, print it off, and use these. Actually, they're in your workbook. So use them when you have them. Get them laminated, put them in your duty bag, whatever it is for you, so that when situations arise, you have these tools available. That's why they're there. They're there so that you don't have to think. And that's the biggest thing, because situations happen and you don't want to be looking for your anchoring object. You don't want to go through your phone and go, oh man, who do I call? I'm going through something right now. Because that's the last time you want to have this written down. You want to have this prepared so that when you're in crisis, you'll have the tools. Okay. Encouragement. You're not your reaction, right? I wanted to put these three little phrases in here so that you begin to understand that, one, you are not your reaction. You are your reset. You are the one on purpose going into that life, going into this journey that you're building, because you've already done the hard part. You've already been through that situation. That was the hardest part, right? And if you can begin to say that to yourself, look, I've already been through the trauma. I've already had to deal with the situation. Now I get to move forward from this, and I get to use tools that are proven to create this journey I want. Every moment, this last one's crucial. Every moment is a choice. You know, each situation that you come into your life, you have a choice. Are you going to respond or are you going to react? Right? Response is a choice. Reaction is immediate, right? You do it just because, right? So you have to create those response options so that you can deal with the situation and move forward from it, my friends. And now you've been equipped to choose wisely. Together, my friends, we heal. Together, we reset. That is it for today. Thank you so much for being a part of this mission. Thank you so much for really taking the time to understand the journey that you're on, the path that you're moving forward. Next event, let's see if I'm on here. Nope, I didn't put it on here. So next event, we're going to be coming out. Check your emails if you're on the email list. If you're not, go to ptsd-transformation.com and get on the email list, and we'll send you updates for when our next event is. It's all about relationships and building connection and understanding where you want to go with that and how to, because I know in relationships and trauma that we go through, we split apart. And I wanted to teach you, and it's not only like husbands and wives relationships. It's not only kids. It's coworkers. It's with your boss. It's with people, any kind of relationship that we have, friends, family. This is what we want to begin to rebuild. This is what we want to begin to come back together, being able to talk to them about what you're going through, being able to add these people to your phone list because they're trusted communication people. So that's it for today. I want to thank you all for being here. If you have any questions, again, email me and I will respond. I will email them, either myself or again, one of my team, and we will get you on this journey back to where you want to be. Thank you all.